You can't speak your mind at work. You hold back your opinions. You've learned to suppress your directness, your desire to compete, your drive to win, because the world has told you your masculinity is toxic. But here's what they won't tell you: masculinity isn't toxic, it's abandoned. Men aren't too strong, they are too weak. They're not too aggressive, they're too passive. They're not leading, they're retreating. And the result? Weak families, broken communities, a culture drowning in degeneracy. Because when men abandon their masculinity, everything collapses. I'm going to show you why masculinity isn't the problem and what happens when men finally stop abandoning it. Let's go, okay? Now, I feel the pressure to suppress my masculinity every single day. At work, I hold back, I bite my tongue, I tone myself down, because if I don't, I'll be judged, labeled, seen as a problem. And I see this everywhere, okay? Men giving into addictions, men not standing against injustice, passive, directionless, not standing against the over sexualization of the world, not even standing against the government when it abandons the Christ's teachings, okay? But when I think about my father, my grandfather, they were different. Strong, right? Determined. They had goals, a clear path. And they actually built the world that we're living in right now. And now we're abandoning what they built because we've been convinced that masculinity is the problem. It's not, right? The problem is that we've abandoned it. Okay? So let's call out the lie first. The culture tells you your aggression is toxic, your competitiveness is problematic, your desire to lead is controlling. Okay? They tell you your strength is intimidating. Think about it like this, okay? In a game where they've patched out all of, the best abilities, the strong build, the strength build, my personal favorite, the competitive modes, all nerfed or removed. So what's left? It's just a watered down version that nobody wants to play, okay? And that's what they're doing, to all of our current games, right? That's what culture is doing to men also, okay? And when men believe this lie, they stop competing, stop leading, and stop standing firm. They become passive and directionless. They give into addictions because they have nothing worth fighting for, okay? So here's the truth. Masculinity is not toxic. Abandoned masculinity is toxic. So the problem isn't that men are too masculine, it's that they're not masculine enough. Okay? Now you might be thinking, but some men are abusive and controlling. Isn't that masculinity? Well, no. That's corrupted masculinity. And there's a very big difference between corrupted masculinity. Well, there's a very big difference, right? Corrupted masculinity is strength used for selfish, sinful purposes. It's a powerful ability used to grieve and destroy instead of to build and protect. The ability itself isn't the problem. The corruption of it is. Okay? Like you can use a knife, right? A knife can be used to kill, but it can also be used to, spread butter or cut your chicken, right? So in Ephesians 6 verse 10, it says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Not strong to control people, strong in the Lord, strong in service of something greater than oneself. Okay? The solution to a corrupted masculinity is not abandoned masculinity, it's redeemed masculinity. Strength used to protect, not to dominate. Leadership used to serve, not control. Aggression directed towards justice, not cruelty. So the world doesn't need less masculinity, it needs a more redeemed, real masculinity. Okay? And here's what's actually at stake when men abandon their masculinity. Of course, everything collapses around them. Families suffer because there's no strong sacrificial leader. Communities decay because there's no one standing against injustice. Culture collapses because there's no backbone, right? No standard, no willing to say this is wrong and I will not tolerate it. Okay? 1 Corinthians 16 verse 13 says, "Be on your guard, stand firm in faith, be courageous, be strong." That's not a suggestion, that's a command from God. And the men who could fulfill it have been convinced that their strength is a problem. So they just do nothing. So what does reclaimed masculinity actually look like? Here's what I would tell my son, okay? Nothing is given to you. Work for everything. No participation trophies. No entitlement. Just hard work, sacrifice, and responsibility. Protect the weak. Stand strong in faith. Have goals. Have a clear path. Lead, build. Don't drift. Okay? That's what the previous generations actually did. They didn't start on easy mode and then complain when it got hard. They grinded through the hardest levels, okay, without quitting. And because of that, they changed the world. Okay? From the Bible. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Like, think about that. Act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. That's not a passive man. That's a man with conviction, compassion, and direction. Okay? Now you might be thinking, if I stop holding back, if I actually speak my mind and stand firm, I might lose my job, or I'll be cancelled, or labeled as toxic. Well, maybe, but what's the cost of staying silent? Okay? In Romans 12 verse 21 it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Right? It's not to tolerate evil, to keep the peace, it's to overcome it with strength, okay? With courage. And one day you'll look back and realize, you had the strength to stand, the conviction to speak, the masculinity to lead, but you abandoned it because you were afraid. So don't let that be your story. Now here's what changes when you actually stop abandoning your masculinity. You stop biting your tongue, you stop retreating into passivity, you start reclaiming what God designed you to do, to be strong, sacrificial, courageous, a leader, a builder, a man who stands firm when everyone else backs down. What's going to happen? Families will get stronger. communities will get stronger and the culture will be redeemed. Because masculinity isn't toxic, it's essential. And the world is waiting for men who actually believe that. So if you've been suppressing your masculinity, holding back, retreating, apologizing for your strength, I need you to hear this. Your masculinity is not toxic, okay? And the world is falling apart because masculinity has been abandoned. So stop apologizing for being a man, right? You can't change that. It is who you are. Protect the weak. Lead with courage. Build with purpose. It starts with you, okay? So next time we're going to talk why men need structure more than motivation. Because strength without structure is chaos. And most men are living in chaos because we've abandoned the system that keep them grounded. Okay? Now, if you made it this far, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you guys are struggling with. And I'll see you in the next one.